Hi, I'm 𝗼𝗿𝗀𝗱𝗏. Cherokee Reservation is not a phrase you've heard very often to describe the 14 counties in northeastern Oklahoma where the Cherokees originally settled. It was only after a recent court case in 2020 that this phrase became more of a standard usage amongst tribal leaders in the Cherokee Nation. So here are several examples of how that's being used.
We're building new facilities across the reservation and expanding part of the W.W. Hastings Medical Campus to be the hub for behavioral health and wellness programs.
And today, we are thriving on our reservation in northeastern Oklahoma.
Today, I'm here to talk to you a little bit about the McGirt-Hogner decision and how it's affected us in law enforcement in the 14 counties, also known as the Cherokee Nation Reservation at this time.
Together, the Cherokee Nation government, our citizens and our partners are driving a new era of expectation for engagement across our reservation.
So there are examples of how leaders are using it. So I wondered what brought about this change. So I put that question to Tribal at-Large Counselor Julia Coates, when she was talking to the Attorney General.
I'll switch over to McGirt now. We have a number of questions that have come in while you were speaking and giving your presentation. This is one that comes from Phil Constantine in San Diego, and he sent emails to me. I'll throw this to you, but with my understanding first, and how wrong am I about this? What I had always understood, and it was one of our former principal chiefs who initiated the history course, right, who used to teach it this way himself, and this is Chief Smith, of course, as most people know. It was always my understanding as a result of that the Cherokee Nation in Indian Territory was never sort of characterized legally as a reservation because we owned that land in fee simple. So it was basically private property, and in a strictly legal sense, reservation means land that is legally held in trust by the United States on behalf of that reservation. But now we are seeing quite a lot of reference to the Cherokee Reservation. So am I wrong in my interpretation of it, or are we sort of framing it from a different perspective?
I think it's in the framing. I mean, certainly it's correct. You know, the five tribes were removed early in the United States history, and it was unique the way that the tribes insisted upon, fee simple ownership of their land. And, you see that wrestled with a little bit in the McGirt decision. Gorsuch addresses that issue and says, there are people who argue in this case that because this land was held in fee simple, that is not a reservation. And he approaches it from a more functional viewpoint, looking at what was the function of this. The land status itself, whether it was held in trust or whether it was owned in fee for the tribes, the question that he thinks was, in the treaty, was it clear that this land was set aside as a permanent homeland for these people? And if it was, that's a reservation. That land belonged to them, and it was specifically set aside for the purpose of serving as a homeland for these people. And by his definition, the issues, the technical legal issues about whether it was fee simple or whether it was in some other legal status is irrelevant to him. That is a reservation because it was set aside, and in our case, it was, from the Louisiana Purchase straight into fee simple ownership by the tribes. And that was sufficient for him to consider it a reservation under the law.
That's kind of what I had thought, that we're using this, and also it just really begins to emphasize in a way that, just saying reservation boundary or just saying jurisdictional boundaries or something like that doesn't quite punch in the same way that to call this a reservation now, I think, does.
Yeah, I think, I think reservation and treaty territory, there are lots of different ways to say the same thing, that this was a land set aside for and meant to be governed under exclusively the nation itself. Like those are all words that kind of mean the same thing.
So that's the reasoning why you've heard this change in the last couple of years. You can read the entire Supreme Court decision at the address you see on your screen. It'll also be in the description field below. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please feel free to make comments below as long as the language is family friendly. And if you like this video, please click on the thumbs up button below. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the circle with my picture in it in the lower right-hand corner of the video. The arrow is pointing at it now. And once you have subscribed, you can be notified of when I have a new video posted by clicking on the bell icon in the description field below the video. Thanks again for watching.